You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side.
God bless America. Welcome to The Ranch, everybody, the podcast that explores the people and happenings of Dry Creek Ranch, Eagle, and the greater Boise area. Quick community update. Fresh Christmas trees. My friend Mark Rodriguez posted this on the I Love Eagle Facebook page. I will put it in the comments as well so you guys can check it out. But the bottom line is you can go cut down your own Christmas tree. It's about $10 for the actual permit and then $2.50 for the servicing fee. So not too expensive. 3 trees per household, but you can go cut down your own Christmas tree, which is really awesome. I know a lot of people, especially in the Dry Creek Ranch community, have been asking about Christmas trees, and again, this is how you can get a fresh one. Go pick it out yourself and get it out of the ground. So that's pretty awesome. Another update on the charter school in Dry Creek Ranch. The county commissioners met again on Wednesday night and approved the charter school. Now again, this is not full approval to put whatever charter school you want. This approves shifting the language for the land to be donated to West Ada versus West Ada or another school. So the charter school has a go in the sense that the county has now said, okay, you can donate that land to a charter school. It could be developed by a charter school. It could still be developed by West Ada, but again, West Ada had very sparse information on when they would get to it. It was looking like a 10 or 12-year project, and a charter school could be in as soon as 2024, potentially. And we'd have much greater control over what the school actually looks like. Instead of, for instance, a 2-story building, we would be able to do something that's much more in line with the architecture and construction in Dry Creek Ranch. So that's really cool. Plus, it takes a ton of pressure off of West Ada. You have a lot of students that are still going to, say, Seven Oaks and other schools, or even private schools, that would otherwise go to a charter school in the community. So that's, again, a big win. There's a big group of people working on this and has been for months now. And again, hat off to them to going through all of the hoops and really putting up a good argument for the charter school in the area. My guest today is a real estate professional and Dry Creek local who's been in real estate since he was 18 years old, which is really awesome. You don't meet many people that started that young. And this guy did very successfully. And he's gone through a lot of different types of real estate, including flips. He's gone through fixer-uppers. He's gone through just buy and hold. And it's awesome talking to him about the different things he's done. But we also talked about a lot of other things, as always happens. And it was just cool hanging out with him and getting to know him a little bit more. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Keller Kniffing.
I don't know, like almost 500.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
First off, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Come here.
Cheers.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the time. Midweek, midday.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember when I first met you and you came over and you're like, we gotta have a beer. And then Rob, amazing guy, by the way. Your neighbor.
Yeah.
Who was here. Love that guy. Bummed to see that he's going up the street, but still, what an amazing character.
Yeah, Rob is awesome. And that guy's such a gangster. I mean, his family is in law enforcement. Like dad, uncle, I'm not 100% sure all of the people, but big law enforcement family. And he's still killing himself going back to Oakland, traveling back. Incredible guy in the Oakland PD. His brother's in the Oakland PD. And they're like, I don't know how they maintain such positive views in the world when they're dealing with such shit.
Well, especially in Oakland.
Oh, it's terrible.
Well, have you met Gabe?
I haven't.
No, really?
No.
Okay, so Gabe is
you never introduced me, man. I
Sorry,
don't know
bro. No, couple. So he's across the street from me. He's got the white Tundra.
Okay,
Anyways,
great.
He's retired from Oakland. Same exact spot as Rob. Yeah, and so the night before Halloween, we were chilling in the driveway right here.
Yes.
Drinking beers, hanging out, and the two of them were just going back and forth about stories.
Yes.
And I was just like, I could not. I don't have that personality. I can't. I would take that stuff home with me, I feel like. I feel like it. So here's a funny story, actually. I went to training to be an EMT, to be a fireman. I went on one ride along. We're in an intersection. Old lady gets hit. Her leg's like decapitated, cut in half. Literally called my dad an hour later. I'm like, this isn't for me. Can't do it. I'm like, I can't stomach it. There's no way I can. As soon as I see a kid, it's done. There's no way.
Right, and they're dealing with that stuff all the time.
Daily?
An officer that Rob knows is investigating the the Airbnb. Okay, so in Oakland Hills, they have some very nice houses, and some of them are up for Airbnb rental. So recently, some kids rented out the Airbnb for like 2 nights, but in reality, they just want it for 1 night for a party. So these high school kids throw this party, and of course, the hood shows up, and then there's like 2 or 3 kids murdered. And you're talking like 16, 17-year-olds. And the officer that he knows is investigating this. And it's like, how could you go home? How could you go home and be like, oh, no, it's fine. Like, these are the people we live around.
No, I mean, Gabe was saying, he's like, you almost bury it. The longer you do it, you kind of just learn to bury it, which I can see, but I just, no. So it wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, not.
Then I got into real estate right after that.
Well, my dad, I actually just did a podcast with my dad, which is not something I ever thought I'd do, but he's going for his second trip to Ukraine to do medical stuff. And he's literally, in hospitals, he's doing surgeries, he's going to the front line delivering supplies. And it is the real deal. He was telling me that, he's like, man, when you get close to the front line and the villages, because he's going to recently liberated villages and little towns and stuff, where some of them have flipped back and forth multiple times. So it's like they were Ukrainian, then the Russians got them, and then they went back to the Ukrainians, and the Russians got them, then the Ukrainians got them back. And he says, overwhelmingly, he's like, people flee when they know their town's falling or their little village is falling. They flee. He was like, except the old people. The old people sit there and they like spit on the Russians and they give them hell, and they just everything you would imagine some salty old Ukrainian grandma do.
Oh, they're like, I've been here. Right.
Like, I don't care at all, and you suck, and we're gonna kill you all. Right.
Yeah.
So, but he was like, all the kids are gone because the Russians will actually kidnap the kids. Because Russia is in some parts experiencing a lack of state labor. So they'll kidnap children that will become literally labor slaves in Russia. And he was like, and if you see a young woman in one of the frontline villages, like, that is the most courageous person you've ever seen. And he's telling me this. He's sitting right where you're sitting. And I was listening to him like, I don't even know how to respond to you. Like, how? And he's going back again for a second time. It's the most unbelievable thing. And he's 70.
Yeah.
And what are you
exactly,
doing?
What is exactly?
So he's a physician.
Okay.
And so he's going to...
I'm sure he's practiced that his whole career?
Yes. Okay. So that's his whole professional... He went to Vietnam, which is, I think, one of the big... Right out of high school.
Wow.
You and I go to college. He goes to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things. He's like, I want to know I did my part.
He's seen... He's seen that shit.
Yeah. So he's there, and he now... The impetus for him to become a doctor when he came back was in Vietnam when he was flying helicopters. And I think now that he is a doctor and has practiced for almost 40 years, he sees his ability to help people that's to a degree that he was incapable of doing when he was in Vietnam. Because in Vietnam, he's a helicopter pilot, but he's like 20 and he doesn't know how to.
Yeah.
He can't do any medical
help.
procedures.
Yeah.
Right. And now he's going back over to Ukraine to help in hospitals. Apparently, there's some hospital that they got up and going, and they may not have like a head surgeon, so he may stay for another couple months and do that. Like, he's missing Thanksgiving. He may miss Christmas. And let me be clear, he adopted 7 kids after me, so he has 15-year-old daughters at home. I have 15-year-old sisters at home, 2 of them, and he's missing Thanksgiving and potentially Christmas to be in Ukraine.
That's insane.
Dude, how lame are we compared to that guy?
That's what I was literally thinking to myself. I'm like, and your mom is still around?
So my parents got divorced when I was 8, but yeah, my mom's still around. And his wife,
so
my
she's
stepmom,
raising those girls. And
that's right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And she's as luck would have it, she's a physician as well. So they've done medical missions before, but I don't think ever to any war zones. And he's just...
That's insane. I don't get the mental fortitude it takes to become a physician and putting in those hours. And I mean, I have a friend that's a doctor, and I know how long he went to school. Shoot. I mean, I'm 29. Okay.
He's like just getting out of residency or something?
Yeah, that's my point. Like, you go to school for 10 years to become a doctor. 10 years has been my whole career. And I just can't imagine starting my career now and just going through that grind of med school and everything. That's insane to me. But some people are built for it.
Yeah, and I think it has to be more than a career. That's the thing. Right,
sure.
Like you and I may have careers, but I very much feel like my dad, he's like, this is what I am with my life. This is the value I can bring. And I very much felt that way about, I was in education for almost 20 years. And I was like, this is my value, right? Like, this is my thing. I help young people, especially at a very particular time. I help students get into college. So 16, 17, 18-year-olds, I help them with their SATs and then their entrance essays. And so I get that. But, the worst thing that happens with one of my kids is, maybe they don't get a score up as high as they needed. Or like maybe they don't get the admissions they wanted.
Yeah.
But he's literally dealing with people dying. And you have to see that. And you have to, what would be worse is telling the relatives. I mean, this is dark stuff. How we get so dark on a Tuesday?
Like immediately too. But yeah, that's another thing I always thought of. Well, you heard about the kid that got hit over here on 55, right?
I did. I didn't hear any of the details, but it was on a bike, right?
He was on a bike. I think he was heading to the Eagle Bike Park, got hit, and I think died immediately. But back to the call.
Yeah,
how do you make that call to the parents? That's tough.
Did you see that movie Heat?
I don't think so.
Robert De Niro. No, he's like an LA
older
cop.
movie?
Yeah, Robert De Niro and God, who's the other guy? Yeah, it was older. It was late 90s. But it was essentially...
it sounds familiar, but no, I can't
So
recall.
it's this professional criminal group that I believe was headed by Robert De Niro. And the other one, who's my little friend? Scarface? Who's this?
Yeah.
It's Robert De Niro and... You're killing me.
I know, dude.
You're killing
Shoot.
me. I'm a terrible person, too. It's okay. Anyway...
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
exactly.
those two actors.
Yeah.
So... The difficulty that was portrayed in that is you have this professional criminal group and something goes amiss with them, and then the LAPD pick up and realize that they're chasing this pro group, and so it's this cat and mouse game, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and at one point the police officer, who's this like master investigator, has this conversation with his wife, and he was like, "You're gonna have to share me with the absolute worst aspects of humanity." And I told you that. I told you that when we got married. That I'm not only yours. And at one scene, oh my God, at one scene, he has to go to this crime scene where this kid got put in a microwave.
Oh.
Right. And you see like he's hugging the mom. It's so dark.
Oh.
Right. But again, having to...
Yeah, the bearer of bad news, right?
That's saying
intense.
it lightly, yeah.
That's intense.
This too dark. I don't know
Way too dark.
I gotta take another sip. Let's take a turn.
Yeah.
You went to school in San Diego, right?
Yeah. I went to high school. I grew up going to a private school, Christian private school. Went there till junior year of high school, and I hated it. I had a couple friends, but most of my friends went to the public school down the street. So my senior year, I decided to go to public school. Finished there, graduated. All my friends were going to college, and I had no plan. That's when I went to the EMT school and thought that I'd be a fireman. I always thought that'd be a fun career. And then I had the accident in the intersection and realized that's not for me.
That's not a fun career.
Can't do that. No.
Right.
So then I thought of health insurance, like a financial advisor.
Sure.
So I went and got my
18 years old. Hey, let me help you with your retirement.
Yeah, exactly,
No sweat.
right? Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
So life insurance.
Hi, I'm Keller.
Yeah.
I have a really exciting opportunity I'd like to share with you.
Let me tell you why your family can't afford to survive after you pass. And listen to me because I'm 18. Yeah, that goes over really well.
Okay, great.
And it's cold calling, right? It's cold calling to get appointments and all that. But I got my life insurance license, did all that. And yeah, that's kind of what it went to. Cold call. Okay, here we go. So I sat on my computer at my parents' house and started cold calling people.
You didn't even have an office that you went and like shared with people?
There was an office. I didn't really have to. It was like, what's the point? I'm going to go there, cold call, or cold call here.
What's
so
the
I'd
point?
go back and
You're
forth.
hanging out with your dad, like in the hall. Like, get out of the house.
Dad,
That's the point.
Well, so
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it.
No.
You could have had a very lucrative career in life insurance.
Well,
had you
I
just
guess
gone
what
to
I
the
meant
office.
is you're cold calling all day. You're
Yeah, it
taking
doesn't
breaks.
matter. Yeah,
so
right.
it's like, I'd go to the office in the morning. I'd sit there until 4 or 5 o'clock. You come back, and then you try to catch the people getting home from work. You're
Right.
cold calling. That didn't last long. I lasted about a week, and I was like, "This isn't for me." So I'm like, boom.
about the same as the EMT.
Yeah, this career, no. This career, no. And at the time, my dad, he's been a real estate agent since, 82, I think, 83.
Wow.
Yeah, in San Diego, and very successful at it. He was flipping homes. He started buying homes and flipping them. And this was like, so what year was this? This is 2000. It's like 2011, 2010, 2011. And I saw an opportunity, and I was like, hey, let me just go be a grunt worker for you. You know, I'll just be labor. Like, let me just try this out.
Let me patch the drywall. Let me rip up the carpet.
I was worse than that, bro. I was picking up trash, bagging trash bags, taking it to the dump. And I did the first flip, and he made his profit. He, paid me hourly. I can't remember what he paid me at the time hourly, but I was like, that was kind of fun, I saw what my dad made on paper, and I was like, interesting. So
curious.
I've always been a computer guy. I've always been into, I played video games growing up like most kids, but I've always been into like the opportunities on the internet as far as, we talked about crypto earlier.
Yeah, right.
Crypto, stuff like that. And at the time, no one knew. Oh, well, the market crashed, right? Everyone knows. Market crashed 2008, 08.
And then it was like the train wreck down to the bottom until like 2012. Yeah.
And what was happening? REOs, which REOs are bank-owned homes, in case someone doesn't know. And at the time, the internet was still, everyone knew about the internet. Not many people were on the internet on a daily basis. People were on email. They were on basic websites. Like Facebook was kind of getting big then. MySpace, Facebook.
Right.
It still wasn't a huge thing. People would go and read the news on the internet, places like that. But people weren't using the internet like they use it today. Completely different. So what I found was these banks were listing their properties for auction, the foreclosures. And so I would go on these websites, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and every single day they'd list their REO properties. And what did people not have in 2010, 11? Money.
Yeah, right. I was going to say cash was king. Cash is always king, but nobody, right.
No one had money.
Nobody.
And my dad did not really have money either at the time. He we can get into that later, but he lost his ass on a big project he did. But
2008 murdered a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah, he did a huge subdivision, lost his ass on it because as soon as title released the lots, boom, market crashes. $700,000 lots are worth $150 now.
Yeah, right.
So they actually, they went to a seminar in, I think Texas, about flipping houses, and they spent a lot of money figuring out how to do it basically. And the problem was my dad couldn't find enough. So anyways, I start toying around on the internet. I find this property, I think Bank of America had it listed. And it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in City Heights in San Diego. It's a little crappy part of San Diego, honestly. For $150,000. Really cheap. Yeah. And so I'm like, God, look at this, Dad. And I was showing him.
How many square feet?
I think it was listed for 1,800 square feet, 3-bedroom.
1,800 square feet for $150,000 in San Diego. I don't even care if you're in the dumps in San Diego.
And honestly, there's way worse areas in San Diego. This was not in a horrible spot, but it wasn't the best.
Wow. Okay.
So we find it, and I'm like, so should we do a drive-by, right? We go get lunch. We do a drive-by.
Did you get
Mexican?
Mexican?
See it from the outside.
Did you get Mexican? Tell me you got Mexican.
You know what? I don't remember what we got. Down there, there's a sandwich place. It's actually a weed-themed sandwich place. Okay, it's called Chiba Hut. All their sandwiches are named after different strains of weed or marijuana.
My God.
But the best sandwiches in the world. Honestly, the best.
I can mess with a sandwich, that's fine. But the thing I miss the most about California, and I don't miss 1,000% Mexican and Chinese. Okay, and because I can live without Thai, but if I can't get a good kung pao like once a month, I just kind of freak out. Like I start getting itchy.
Have you found a good place up here?
No, I have to travel back. It's like I've only been back we moved in January 2022, and I've been back I think like 3 times, and each time I eat so much Chinese, it's like offensive. It's like I gain easily several. It's like get your fat pants on.
So Boise Noodle House is good off Chinden.
Oh, okay.
We go there quite a bit.
Have you been to Fa Nueva down on?
Nope.
It's down in downtown near.
Is that
near
Thai
Matador.
or Chinese?
That's whatever pho is.
Don't even know the difference, to be honest.
Who does pho? That's Vietnamese. F-H-O,
let's just call it, it's an amise.
It's an amise. Okay, there it is. So it's an amise place, and it's quite delicious.
Yeah.
And they have, my wife and I are very unfortunately gluten-free, so we are limited, but they have these like epic rice noodles and like big fat, pho noodles and
That's
stuff.
what's nice though. You can do rice noodles, and they almost taste the same.
I mean,
my wife
the same.
does.
Nothing is the same. I made fun.
You're
I
like,
currently
absolutely
make
not,
fun of
absolutely.
people. Like, I'm drinking a gluten-free beer, and like if I squint, I'm like, it's kind of like a beer, but it's not. Like, it's just ruined.
There's
me.
alcohol in it though, right? It's just gluten-free.
That's the only consolation, that there's alcohol. Right. It's nothing like for instance, Blue Moon. Love Blue Moon, the beer, the Belgian wheat beer.
Is there gluten in that?
Oh yeah, I haven't had a Blue Moon since I was 23.
So,
or like
did
Brother
you
Thelonious.
just randomly become gluten? Or what's it called?
Gluten intolerant or something.
Intolerant, yeah. I'm like gluten intolerant,
right?
Yeah.
So I think I actually have always had looking back. So for instance, Blue Moon. All right, Blue Moon beer, big fan.
Would you blow up?
Face puffs up. Instantaneous nose block. And I figured this out at 23. I was like, I can't drink this. And so then I had a love affair with Shock Top. You remember that? The orange mohawk? Huge fan of Shock Top. But same thing. After like 4 or 5 months, I was like, I can't do it. And then when I was about 34, I randomly developed an allergy to nuts. So if I have a cashew or like a macadamia nut, I'm keeled over for like 3 hours. Yeah, it's really bad.
Nuts are in everything, bro.
Oh, I know. And I love cashews. I love macadamia nuts. Anyway,
pistachios. Oh, that's my guilty pleasure late at night.
Pistachios. Yeah, so
salt and pepper pistachios.
So 34, 35. It's around this time actually. So it's around the holidays, and a buddy has me over. And I always thought I had very low alcohol tolerance because anytime I had a beer or two, I'd just get exhausted. The next day I felt like trash. I was like, well, clean living. I can't really drink. Fine, whatever. I'll move on with my life. But a buddy has me over, and he, for whatever reason, just has these tall, like Gold Coast ciders, like tall cans, white cans. Yeah. He's like, here, you want a hard cider? We're like, I'll feel like trash tomorrow. So I drink 2 of these. I feel great the next day. Like, what the hell? So I drink that night. I go home. I get like a 4-pack of them because I had yours in the
fridge forever.
I'm like, hang on, I'm going to try this out because again, I still thought it was alcohol in general that screwed me up.
Yeah.
Slam 4 of these, feel amazing, plenty of energy. And then I started looking at everything that I really got down on. For instance, red vines. I had no idea. So in my SAT class, I have this giant barrel of red vines, right? Kids are eating red vines, all this stuff. When I would eat a red vine, my ears would instantly start cracking. Well, it turns out red vines have wheat in them to thicken them up and make them stiffer, right? So I started cutting all of this stuff out, and all of a sudden, it's like I'm not exhausted at 6:30 at night. I never have swelling of like my joints because my joints would crack the next day when I go train jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
so then you could do like clear liquors.
Oh yeah. Oh, love me
Tequila,
a good gin and tonic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vodka.
Those. Yeah, and I still try to I drink very sparingly now. We went kind of hard this last weekend for Halloween, but before that I hadn't had a drink in like 2 months. Oh my God, shut up. Are you serious?
Monday you did?
No.
Oh, the
Tuesday,
weekend.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday we went hard. We rested on Sunday, the Lord's Day, and then we took our kids out on Monday.
Oh, so you okay?
We had one hell of a.
Was your dad still in town, or he leave already?
Yes.
Okay.
This was okay. So did you ever like kind of hang out with your friends and your dad when you were like 21, 22?
Yeah, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we did it. My dad moved to Alaska when I was 15. So I didn't have a lot of opportunities to like sit down and drink beers with my dad.
Got it.
Okay. So he would come down like once or twice throughout my college experience. I was going to Berkeley, so I was in California.
Yeah.
But he came out this last week. He came out on Friday. He hits me up on Thursday. He's sitting in Anchorage and texts me flights. He's like, what do you think about these flights? I was like, Dad, that's tomorrow. He said, yeah, I know. What do you think about it? I'm like, yeah, man, come. I mean, again, he's going to Ukraine. I was like, hell yeah, come on down. So he spends all this money to get next day flights, comes down. And I say, hey, get ready. Because our boy Anthony, he has his birthday. His birthday's the day before Halloween. It's the 30th. And so he's like, every year, it's this crazy party for him.
Yeah, I heard you guys are quite the party street up there.
We have a good time. Have a good time. I will tell you that.
That's good.
You know what's interesting? People give us so much flack for it too. Like
Why?
the moms, because I think it's my thought that other people get frustrated with it. They're like, why are they partying so much? And it's like, we never venture off West Cardinal. We don't do anything. Like, we just party on our street and have a good time.
You know, it's funny. I was talking. You had Kyle on the podcast, and we were always mentioning like it's like the DCR popping the cherry. For instance, when we first moved here, we moved in summer of July, not this summer, but last summer, so of 21, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, we were. I mean, every night on this street, we were hanging out in driveways, drinking beers till like. I mean, average night was 11, 12 o'clock at night. You know, first off, sun doesn't go down till 10.
Yeah, sure.
You know? And, but we did that all summer. All summer. Like, and
that was 2021?
This is not this summer, the year later. This summer, I mean, it happened here and there, but I think it was that just, we got out of California. We're in Idaho. We're around like-minded people. We're having a blast. We're drinking. Everyone's having a good time. Not that we don't have a good time anymore.
Sure.
But it's like that. Oh my God, what a relief. I'm here. I finally got to where I've been wanting to get to, and this is place of peace, surrounded by people that think the same way we do. And yeah, we just let loose and had a good time.
And then it fizzles out after like 5-6 months.
You'll still hang out. You'll still do stuff, but I don't think it'll be the party. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. We're going to find out.
We'll see.
We're going to find out because we're coming up on a year.
But I've met a handful of people up there. I really like them.
Yeah. I like them too.
You got a good crew.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We became such a close-knit little street.
Yeah.
Because we're not connected to any other street. So we couldn't like wander down the street.
No. You're kind of your own little branch.
Yeah, right. And we're like an island. And there's no one that's ever going to be connected to us. So like, these are all of the people until someone moves.
Aren't they going to extend?
They're going to extend behind us.
Behind you. That's right.
They're not extending our street.
Oh, so the dude that has the basketball hoop at the end right there of your street?
We don't know whose basketball hoop that is.
Of course, we don't talk about Bruno either.
We don't talk. No. Anyway, yeah.
So no, they're not expanding right there?
They are. This is a big brouhaha.
Okay.
So because
it looks like the way the street's set up, it looks like that's going to continue one day. But
no,
maybe I'm wrong.
Theoretically, what Boise Hunter Homes is proposing right now, which is different from what was in the plans when we purchased our lots and our houses. What they're proposing now is they extend West Cardinal like 40 feet and make it hit a hard right turn.
And then cul-de-sac?
No, down to the course corral.
Oh.
But it's like, okay, look, cars and, horse trailers and stuff coming down Brookside. You're going to make a right, a left, and then a right? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? As opposed to just extending Brookside another 50 feet and making a right turn onto wherever the horse corral will be. And by the way, dead end the existing entrance. Like the existing entrance where people would make a right or do make a right, put up barricades there. We'll go out into the new street. It doesn't matter. But the point is that West Cardinal itself will not have more homes on it. But
got it.
People keep telling us, like other realtors and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, everybody goes through this, just like you said. Everybody goes through this. But I think what they're discounting is different. The expansive nature of a lot of the other phases, right? So let's say you're in phase 1, right? And then they build a couple more houses. And those people are like, oh, the people down the street are partying, let's go party, right? And then they build more houses, like boom. So all of a sudden the tribe gets so big that you have like 100 people at a Christmas party.
Yep.
And the person's like, I didn't want 100 people, I wanted 25. They're like, but we couldn't exclude anyone. Our street...
dude, that's exactly something we're going through right now in our group here.
Explain.
We want to do
Talk to me.
I don't want to get into drama of any of it. I won't mention any names, but we want to do a Friendsgiving.
But John's a dick.
Screw John.
Screw John. Karen.
We want to do a Friendsgiving. And we had our group last year. We're doing it this year. Problem is we all know a lot more people.
Right.
A lot more.
Right.
We did it at someone's house last year. Now there's this family that wants to be involved. This family. We can't do it at a house. There's no way. So now we're talking about the clubhouse. Even the clubhouse is going to be too small.
Right.
It's the same thing, though.
What I'm getting at.
Yeah, 100%.
And what's interesting is you have somebody here.
It's a good problem to have, though.
Great problem to have.
Yeah,
but it's
because
a
all that
problem.
means is we all get along.
Yeah,
we like to have
man,
fun
but
together.
you've been dealing with this since you were in junior prom, and you had to decide who was on the bus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my point is with West Cardinal, there's a unique aspect of it in that
It's not
on
going
my
to keep
street,
expanding, really.
it doesn't expand.
Because you guys were the last ones in this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
On this side of the street, you guys are the last
It's never
people.
going to be bigger. And
Yeah,
because
that's nice.
and a lot of us moved in the winter, so we weren't able to vent like you move in the summer. You venture out, you see other people.
Kids
A
are
lot of
running
us
around,
moved in the winter, so we stayed within like 3 houses of
Yeah,
our front door. So
sure.
all of a sudden, we weren't meeting other people. So it just became this incredibly tight-knit, like 10 houses, 18 houses.
Yeah.
And so, again, people keep making bets. We have jokes. We have like this running joke that it's like, oh, honeymoon's going to be over next week because people keep saying it's going to be over. It's like, yeah, I mean, look, we could be wrong.
It doesn't
but
go. Yeah, and I didn't mean it that way. It doesn't go. I know.
I know you didn't mean it that way.
I know. But what I'm saying is, no, what you have is special down there. And that's kind of how when we moved here, we still have our core group. Mm-hmm. It's still a special group of people. It hasn't changed at all. There's just been more people that it's been introduced to it. But
And the frequency with which you socialize is slightly less.
But it's nice because, like there's different personalities in the group, right? And sometimes we want to hang out with these people. Sometimes we want to hang out with these people. But there's no, and this is one thing I told my wife when we moved here was, look, we're moving into a neighborhood. People are going to see cars. Everyone knows my car. I know everyone else's car. We're going to see cars in different driveways.
Right.
You can't go there in your head like
Get butthurt.
Well, I didn't get invited.
John didn't invite me.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what they're doing. You can't even let yourself go there because there's no point. What's the point of doing that? I mean, we're all friends, right? We're all adults too. Jesus Christ, this isn't high school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Grow up. People get together. They do things. It is what it is. Can't think that way. But no, I think it's cool what you guys got going on up there.
Yeah, it's cool. And again, I very much enjoy it. And so it's
and the kids,
out.
There's lots of kids.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Is there?
Yeah, we have like 25 kids on our little block, and they're all within.
And they all get along good.
They get along wonderfully.
They're
great. All within 6 years of each other.
That's cool.
So imagine that, like 25, like a gaggle of kids. Oh my God, we got doorbell ditched last night.
Did you?
So it was great. And
someone keeps doing that to us. I cannot figure. I'm about to put a Ring camera up.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Doorbell ditching in the age of Ring is so like this kid comes up.
Oh,
and
so you have a Ring.
I sent the video out. It went all around the neighborhood. Okay, so this is what happens. So you hear him because my wife showed me the thing. I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. So he comes up, he's like, should I do it? Should I do it? Like, and he has his hand on the button and he's like looking
shaking.
sideways. He's like, okay, get ready to run. And he hits it. He's like, ah! And like runs off my porch. And then you see because the camera has a pretty wide angle. Yeah. So like you see all these kids running for it and the bikes. And you know who the kids are.
Yeah, you know exactly.
Like, you know exactly. And it's so funny. You can hear them screaming and yelling.
What time was this?
Oh, it was light outside. So it was like 5 o'clock.
Sorry, I'm getting over this cough.
Oh,
dude, who doorbell ditches at 5 p.m.?
We were pissing our pants.
That's hilarious.
I must have watched this at least like 20 times. And like that shows you how entertaining my life is, that I'm going to watch kids doorbell ditching, but like it was really funny.
Yeah, you need to get out more, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hanging out with you. I mean, here's to you.
Yeah,
anyway, so Friday was my boy Anthony's birthday.
Yeah, back to your dad in town.
Yeah, so he came into town.
So like you said,
full circle.
So
my
your dad left at 15.
So
you
my
didn't
dad
get to
left
have
at 15.
those young years of drinking, having beers with your dad.
Hanging out with my dad now as an adult, man, as a grown man, he's almost 70, or he is 70, and he comes and he hangs out with us. He's hanging out at the fire pit. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Somebody gets out this keg, a pony keg, a Fireball, and it's like we're talking gallons of Fireball, and
You didn't text me. You didn't text me about that.
Well, you were hanging out with your other friends, John.
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds amazing.
It was, and it was a potluck style. So, and this was expressly his birthday party, so I didn't have like invite opportunities for whoever I wanted.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just messing with you.
You're pissed that you weren't invited. Thanks for the invite,
livid.
bro. I actually have not been invited to a brunch yet. my friends go out to like brunch. A couple of them always are like, you know, picking themselves up and going to get Bloody Marys on Sunday morning. And it's like, thanks for the invite, bro. It's been 10 months. I haven't got an invite. Anyway, so my dad's there. I'm trying to get through this story, damn it. Oh my God. So
Sorry.
my dad's there and he's hanging out at the fire pit. Everyone there, he was in services, and again, going back to Ukraine, and there are several servicemen on my street. So he's loving talking to them. They're great, chatting it up.
Yeah.
Fireball comes out. We're literally just pouring shots into people's mouths.
Now, real quick,
like we're
pause.
college.
Is your dad a drinker?
So he's not a huge drinker,
Okay.
but he took some Fireball shots.
So he can hang.
Oh, he hung.
Okay.
And then at 11:30 he went to bed, slept like a champ till like 9 a.m. And
What?
Yeah, he was a beast.
He probably hasn't done that in a long time.
No, he hasn't. So it was just really,
Yeah, that's
it was
neat.
really cool having that like work my dad into the fold of my friends and meeting him as a man, because it's very, you know, I think we all hope to have these experiences, and some of us aren't fortunate enough, but I think we all hope to have the experience where you know, I was talking to him, I was like, you know, I think you would have done, had my life been your life, I think you would have done very well. Because my grandfather immigrated from Mexico, broke as broke could be.
Yeah.
Ended up going to college without even having a high school diploma. Gets his aeronautical engineering degree, but has 6 kids. It's a train wreck in Arizona, and they moved to Southern California or Costa Mesa, but that was Costa Mesa in like the 50s and 60s, where the beaches weren't super crowded, and
Yeah.
you know, Chevrolet and the whole thing, right?
Hopefully bought some property and held on to it.
Nope, that didn't happen.
Shit, could you imagine?
Yeah, I think they're like 5-bedroom. He drove me by it. My aunt passed away a couple years ago and went to the funeral, and he drove me by his house. And he was like, it was a great house. It's 5 bedrooms. I was like, you had a 5-bedroom house in Costa Mesa? But back in the day, it was dirt road. Like he had gravel and dirt roads going all around. So
crazy.
And then he ended up, my dad did end up graduating from high school, but went to Vietnam and came back and, you know, got his education and stuff together. So I was just, it was interesting, and I was very pleased that I was able to have this experience with him where he saw me, you know, as a 40-year-old, and it's like, hey, this is the life I've made.
Yeah.
You know, kicking and screaming. I've actually never had a boss. I never applied for a job. After college, literally the week I graduated, I started a little tutoring practice, and that's all I did.
History.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never, so, you know, bootstrapping it was something that was interesting to have him see.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So you again, though, coming back to your story, you had a very similar,
No,
type
I never.
of thing.
So I did work at a pizza restaurant, which was amazing because I'm like 15 years old, 16, and the waitresses were flaming hot, and I was a dishwasher. Yeah. And I made zero money, but we would smoke bowls in the parking lot, and we'd go make pizza, and yeah.
What's the restaurant? What was it?
It's called Bon Giovanni's. It was the last name. Bon Giovanni's Italian restaurant. It's like this old brick building that, shit, dude. I mean, this thing must have been built like in the 50s. I mean, it's been there forever.
I like how California old is. It was built in the 50s.
I know.
Like East Coast old is like it's 1730. You know?
I know. But all brick building, and that was my first. That was the only time I had a boss though, and he was barely a boss. I mean, he never told us anything what to do, or he was a super cool guy. He would just drink in the bar the whole time with his friends that would come in and drink, and we'd sit there and make pizzas. It was a great restaurant, actually, really popular. Worked there
Did you guys do big slices, or were they like round table slices?
big slices?
Like falling off the plate.
Like the OG style Italian restaurant.
Yes.
Like where the cheese just melts. Like you pick up the slice and it's just falling
I'm
off.
hungry right now.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the big oven in there. And yeah, I was the dishwasher for like 3 months. This dude Ross was one of the cooks, and one day he's like, fuck this place, fuck everybody, I'm out.
Like straight up
Yeah.
Office Space style?
Literally, that's what he did. And so Joe, the owner, one of the owners, was 2 brothers that owned it, comes in, he's like, Keller, do you know how to make pizzas? I'm like, I've been watching. I'm like, all right, here we go. So he's like, go for it.
You're up.
So I just started making, and ever since then I was one of the cooks, and it was chill. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that was the only time I had a job, or like a boss, I guess you could say. And then after that is when, because I was in high school, right? Graduate high school, then into the EMT. So full circle back to what we were talking about. find this house in City Heights. Drive by with my dad.
Wow, that was a long detour. I forgot about City Heights completely. Keep going.
I know. It just reminded me.
Yeah, right.
So we're in City Heights. We do the drive-by. 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,600 square feet, 150,000. Okay. Dad's like, you know what? He's like, I can't see how we can lose. Right now, the CMA, so comparative market analysis for the neighborhood, was about 275 for that same house.
That's the comps for everyone.
That's the comps.
Yeah, there we go.
There's the comps, people. We don't know what it looks like inside. There's 2 pictures online. Outside, backyard. That's it. Okay? We have no idea. There could be no kitchen cabinets. It could be, who knows, mold. We don't know. That's the gamble you take. And these are bank-owned homes. You don't get to, there's no inspection period. It's literally you buy and close. So that's the risk. So
there was a lot of negative sentiment, obviously, towards the people being foreclosed on. So you had several instances. I mean, rampant.
You mean with the people that live there that just trashed it?
Yeah, they're getting kicked out. They know the sheriff's coming in like an hour to boot them, and they just like rip the cabinets out, like just piss everywhere, and just. I mean, obviously, it was a very rough time for a lot of people. But anyway,
so we make a bid, and at the time, like I said, my dad wasn't sitting on a pile of cash, you know. And so he had clients, because he's been in real estate since the 80s. He had clients that had a lot of money. So he was borrowing hard money, and we were paying on average 10% and about a couple points. So for people that don't know, a couple points of interest is per month you pay 10% on what you're borrowing. A point is 1 month worth. So about 10% and 2 points, which is actually pretty good. Not bad for hard money. And we were getting in and out of these properties in about 3 months. So we're paying about 3 months of 10% payments plus another 2 points. So about 5 of those. And so this one, we end up closing and we get the keys. Well, I make the bid online, 150,000. We got
You did the bid online.
All online.
Beautiful. Keep going.
This is 2011 or 2010,
That's great.
something like that. We end up having to pay 157 to win it because we got outbid with 2 minutes left at 155. And I told my dad, I'm like, hey, this guy outbid us. He's like, screw it, just go to 157. So we went to it. We got it, right? So then, how did we get the keys? That's interesting. I think we went down to like a Bank of America like office, like in downtown San Diego or something, and like picked up the keys with an envelope with the title. And literally, it's the grant deed, right? You sign the pay. It's like going to you go to an escrow company or a title company. You sign the grant deed. It was like that. We go and meet at this title company. We get an envelope with the keys. Whatever else is with the property, garage, remote openers, etc., mailbox keys, whatever it is, sign
Police
our papers.
Report.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right.
Grab that, go to the house, open the door, walk inside. Kitchen's in place. That's good. Tile on the floor. There's no holes in the walls. All of a sudden, we look over to the right, walk in. So you walk in, it's a living room. Over here's the kitchen. To the right, another little living room. Awkward living space. It's kind of one of those cut 2 living room things, useless space. And then there's there's a few bedrooms around the corner and a couple bathrooms like scattered between. So it's like a roundabout, like a very square floor plan type of home. Okay. And in the middle of this is a staircase with a door.
Going down? No one has a basement in San Diego.
It's not a basement. The house is built on a split. It was a split built home.
Okay.
And so it was built on a hillside.
Gotcha.
So the appraiser for the bank never went downstairs. So we open the door. We go downstairs. There's 3 more bedrooms, 2 more baths. So instead of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, we bought a 6-bedroom, 4-bath home. Instead of 1,600 square feet, it was 20. I can't remember. Don't quote me, but 2,500 and change or something. God. Boom. Our comps just went from 275 to about 400 as far as the bedroom bath ratio for the area. Fast forward about 2 weeks. We're into it, painting, carpet, all the normal stuff. We've dumped about maybe 15 grand into it. You got to remember also back then, you could paint an entire house for $1 a square foot.
Right.
You could, all these things, because all the contractors were starving also. No one was doing anything. Right. So we were doing full on kitchen cabinets for like $2 grand, $4 grand, like insane, right? People were just begging for work. And so we didn't get more than 2 weeks in escrow, and we ended up selling it to who knows who they were, but for 300 and I want to say it was 395, we sold it.
Dog.
So we closed for 157, sold it for 395.
Like a month later.
Less than a month. Yeah. 3 weeks. 3 weeks, if that.
God, man. So you're 18, 19 at the time?
I was 17, 18, something like that. Yeah. Just graduated high school. Yeah. And so we made, I don't know what the numbers is on that, but
good
money.
Good. Whatever it is, it's good.
It was good. And I think at the time, my dad's deal with me was 10% of profit. So I remember getting a check for like, it was like 17 grand or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, I worked at the pizza joint for how many years? I mean, I never saw a check more than like $400, and that was like a week's worth of work.
Oh,
so it was like
more, yeah.
Yeah, so 17 grand, that was like an entire salary of working at the pizza place for 30 hours a week, in one check. So, granted, what did I do the next day? I got on the damn computer and started looking for more properties. So we did that for about 3 years. And my dad, I mean, by all means, 100% could not have done it without him. I found some properties online. He still found a lot of properties the old school way. I mean, back then, they were courts. It was steps to the courthouse. Literally, at the courthouse, they're selling titles to properties. As time goes on, people started to catch on. It's turned into these auctions, auction.com, homes.com. There was a list of these auction websites.
Yeah, I'm sure it's REO.com.
They started getting in bed with the banks.
Right.
And started taking a fee. And then it turned into not just this local audience of people bidding or this back end like 16th tab of Bank of America's website for these REO properties. It turned into, boom, bankofamerica.com, front page, auctions going live this week. And it's the list of properties. All of a sudden, you've got these guys with their headphones in, and they're sitting down there at these live auctions talking with their investors in Michigan, New York, that are buying California properties. It changed overnight. But we had a good solid 2.5 year, 3 year run where it was still, no one knew about it.
Right.
So I think we flipped, it was like 46 properties in about 3 years. Yeah.
And what a time to be flipping too. What a time to be flipping when you can get the properties everybody wants. Like if you want to flip a property right now, good luck getting a contractor to come see it next week. Like it's almost impossible.
I'm kicking out a tenant right now, and I have contractors I have to meet because I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might sell it, I might re-rent it, but
is this in California?
This is in San Diego. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, good luck getting a contractor right now, let alone them committing to an actual time. Or I'll get out there when I can. Hey, dude, I live in Idaho. I'm not coming down for a month. I'm gonna be down there for a week. I need to know I'm gonna meet you.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah, the remote management is actually it's like 90% not bad, but that 10% is
it's tough.
Huge pain. I had an issue recently. This group's like, oh, hey, my ceiling is raining. I'm like, is it raining there? This is in Oakland. They're like, no, it's not raining. I'm like, what's coming out of your ceiling? And it's like water coming down. And so then I asked the upstairs people, I'm like, hey, do you, it's a 2-story place, flat
duplex
upstairs. Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, did your washer overflow? Like something happened? They're like, no, we're bone dry up here. I'm like, oh no. So you have, and I've had instances where older property. Well, I thought initially that it was cast iron pipe coming out of the toilet, or coming out of the washing machine or something. But it turns out that the tenant upstairs had installed a bidet, and they had not.
What is up with the bidet thing?
You like being fresh. I don't know. You like to be clean. Dude, I don't know.
I keep hearing about it. Oh, dude, I bought the bidet add-on from Amazon. Okay. It's the best thing in the world. I'm like, dude, I can't get myself to do that.
You're kind of like the Crocodile Dundee when he's like in New York. Crocodile Dundee, like, yeah. He's like sticking his foot and he's like, what the hell is that? It's a bidet. Anyway, so they install a bidet add-on and they do it incorrectly, and the pipe, the tubing is leaking and it leaks through the wall, and they didn't notice it for like days. So anyway, but just lining up,
and you're not there.
No, yeah. So like if I were there, 25 minutes zip over, just okay, no problem. Like let's get a fan set up, and if it's real bad, get a dehumidifier set up. going to rip off the paint. We'll have the painter come in next week. But now it's like I'm scrambling to find someone just to go over and make sure that the water balloon that was on the ceiling gets popped, and it's a mess.
Now, do you have someone down there that is kind of like a right-hand man or someone that can go look at a problem for you? Okay.
I got my guy Joe, but Joe is going on 80.
Joe's the man. Oh, Joe.
Joe's the man. And I get a hold of him this week, and I'm like, Joe, listen, this is a situation. He's like,
does Joe go to the same breakfast diner every morning at 5:30?
I want to believe that Joe does.
Okay.
I absolutely, I know he watches NASCAR from his hot tub, like whenever NASCAR's on. Joe's the man.
Yeah.
Joe's the man. But Joe is also 80, so he's like, listen.
How do you know Joe?
Oh, so Joe, I started investing when I was older than you, so right around 23.
Okay.
Right. So I started tutoring right out of college. And what I realized very quickly is, I grew up without money, and I was very worried about that. I was worried for myself at 35 when I was like 22.
Yeah.
Because my idea at 22 is, look, if I don't do something right now to make sure at 35 or 40, I'm not working like crazy and miss my kids' lives.
Yeah.
Right. So I need to grind now, and I didn't know where to grind, but I was like, well, I'll start with this tutoring. I know I can do that, and I do that well.
Yeah.
So I realized that like 90% of my tutoring clients, and this was in, Oakland, Piedmont, Berkeley, well-to-do areas that were paying good money. 90% of those people were involved in real estate somehow, right? They were involved in, loans. They were involved in buying and selling. They were involved in investing. They were doing something in real estate. And so based on that, I was kind of like,
what can I do?
Yeah. Like, what can I do?
Yeah.
And then it became more like, look, you're good at tutoring. You're not a salesman. You're good at tutoring. And I didn't know that part of that was sales, but it was. And they're like, but I had this old real estate client. I had this old client that was a retiring real estate lady, and she realized that I was really getting interested in real estate. So she helped me start investing, right? Because she was like, look, this is what you're going to have to do. Anyway, so Joe came along with one of the places I purchased. He was like the guy who was fixing it up in escrow to do these things. So I was like, well, whoever, fixed that door, can I get that guy's number? And it was Joe.
Boom.
Yeah. But Joe was like,
created.
Yeah, exactly. But Joe was like 63 at the time. And so Joe, I'm broke. So anytime I call Joe, I really need to call someone, because at 23, I had zero money. I had zero, like I went and got a DeWalt drill, and I felt like a man. I was like, I got a drill. Like, was it, right?
They're not cheap.
They're not. And I got a DeWalt.
I just bought a new drill the other day. I'm like,
yeah, they're
$180.
They're not cheap. So I get this drill, and I call Joe for various things. And Joe's used to working by himself. He never had kids. He got married later in life.
Yeah.
So I start showing up to these jobs. I'm like, hey, this is the problem. Like, I don't know what to do. He's like, all right, I'll get on it. And then I wouldn't leave. And then all of a sudden, like after a while, I'd be like, can you hand me that Allen wrench, please? So I'd start handing Joe tools and holding things for him and helping him and understanding.
Started learning.
Yeah, I started learning. That was the thing. Joe taught me every time he showed up, and he started really liking me because I was like, eager 23-year-old, and I was nice enough, and he understood that I was really paying attention. Like that's the number one thing I always told my younger students is like, look, whoever your mentor becomes, pay attention and make sure they understand you're paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, stop with the idea that you have something to add. Even if you do, just table that for a second, listen to what they have to say. So over the years
listen.
Right. Listen.
People don't listen enough. No,
especially in really crucial situations. They want to be the one fixing it. It's like, maybe Joe in his 65 years of doing stuff knows something. So I really started learning.
Shit. That guy knows some shit.
Oh, he's got this big old scar on his face. And I was like, is that from the war, sir? Because he was in the services. He was like, there are 14 of us. I was like, in your squad? He's like, no, at home on the farm. So Joe was raised on a farm in Maryland. And when he was like 5 years old, he was one of the younger kids. He was like number 10 or something. And he goes sliding down this hill on this piece of cardboard, innocent stuff, but hit a barbed wire fence at the bottom. Right. So Joe has this scar running from here all the way down to mid-chin.
Dude, do you ever think about how people, like, how did so many of them, like, people back in the day had kids, like 5 to 10, 15 kids.
Sure.
How on earth did they survive?
Right.
And a lot of them did. Like,
what do you mean a lot of them?
Well, okay.
A lot of them did.
Well, stories like that is what I mean. Like the kind of stuff that kids used to do back then. If we saw our kids doing that now, we'd freak the hell out.
Yeah, but so there's an aspect of danger that I think is actually incredibly valuable in childhood. So like if you imagine the 1930 playground with like monkey bars, and it was like,
that are like 18 feet tall.
Yeah, right. Or like
like
the astronaut costumes that were actually just plastic bags with the astronaut, thing painted on the front. Like those are things where kids can die, right? Like genuinely people can die. Yeah. All right. And then you go like 1970s and you had like the giant, 6x6 wood pillars at the playground, and you get slivers and like you slip on the, or the slide that's metal and it's a hot, and you just like burn your ass off, like 3rd-degree burns. It's like, all right, these are playgrounds. These are playgrounds where kids can get really hurt. Right. But if you jump one more step to the playgrounds that we enjoy with our children, these are playgrounds where you can't get hurt. All right. Now, of the three, the most dangerous,
is the ones our kids play on.
Because they don't know they can get hurt anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. You don't want kids to be able to die, but you need them to be able to get hurt.
You're right. No, you're 100% right.
And when
I guess I've never really thought about that. You're right, though. Yeah.
Like,
because kids, you learn your limitations really quickly when you can get hurt.
You learn that you can be hurt. You learn that you're very easily hurt. You learn that there are sharp edges. Nobody wants their kid injured. Nobody wants their kid going through pain. But you want your kid to be able to gauge and recognize dangerous situations. How are they ever going to recognize a dangerous situation if they've never seen danger?
So what you're saying is we're raising a generation of pussies.
No, I don't think it's a comment on them.
No,
I think it's a comment on us.
That's true.
We are preventing them from seeing danger, right? And I'm not an advocate for excessively dangerous things.
I understand what you're saying.
But like how many times when you were a kid did you like fall off your bike and get hurt?
Oh God, dude.
Yeah, right. And then don't make a hard left turn in gravel. Like that's what you learn.
I had a wooden go-kart that'd go down our driveway that was super steep and long, like probably at least 200 feet long. I'd go down full speed, and my dad was a developer my whole life, right? So he would build new homes. We'd move every 3 years, I'd say. Every 3 years we'd move, get your 2 out of 5, take those capital gains, move on. And so we'd always have like gravel at the end of the driveways because he was expanding and stuff like that. So it'd be gravel at the end of the cul-de-sac. I'd go full speed, dude, just hard turn, sharp left, and just tumble.
Just tumble.
Yeah.
And you're in a little go-kart. Like I used to do that with the big wheels.
But like wheels were sick.
The scooters now. Okay, the scooters with the 2 front wheels that tilt left and right.
Yeah, my kids both have the same thing.
You can't even turn the steering wheels now. Because you remember scooters when we were young, right? Just one wheel in front, one wheel in back. You hit a hard turn, you're literally, or before the razors. Yeah, you have the safety wheels, and that's...
We were talking about how kids these days, like the playgrounds used to be more dangerous.
Yes.
You learn limitations. And
Yes. And but here's the beautiful thing about learning limitations. Again, like in real estate, okay? You need to know what you can do, and you really need to know what you can't do. Right. And you need to recognize that there's risk involved everywhere. Right. I remember the first time dude. All right. So when I was younger.
I have a good example too.
When I was younger, like my first deal, I was like, okay, I don't have very much money. So what I need to do.
How old were you? 23.
22, 23. Yeah. Okay. Right. It's 23. Right. So I start. I'm like, listen, I don't have very much money.
Yeah.
In fact, I have almost no money, but I had a little money. So my idea was, look, I got to go out of state to find like a property because there's living in the Bay Area. I was like, there's no way I'm going to find something.
Yeah.
Right. But
I mean, even back. Yeah.
It was such a lie though. Like that was limitation. That was me being ignorant.
There's always a way.
There's always a way. There's always I got into an argument recently with an old student of mine because I make a lot of real estate content, right? I make content for all kinds of different people.
I listen to all of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's great.
And again, like I work with like a dentist. Again, that's what I do. But I made this one real estate video, I think it was like 3 months ago, and the student of mine who's currently in college, and he's a bit of a commie, which is fine. He's like down with the man, landlords are like the devil, all this stuff is like, all right, buddy, I mean, come on, calm down.
First off, we can't have you teaching those people, okay? Just kidding.
Well, he comes on, and I appreciated it because he I appreciated his perspective because he genuinely wanted to talk about this, and he said, "Look."
Oh, he came on the podcast.
No. He came onto Instagram and started commenting on these videos. And he was like, "The problem is you have generational wealth that starts reproducing itself, and that leaves the lower class behind."
I ghost watched that conversation in your comments. I watched that back and forth.
Yeah.
Yes. Long paragraphs. Yes. I remember that.
Right. And I really like this guy. He's very spicy. Okay. Yeah. And I knew that. So when he made this comment, I'm like, all right, just calm down.
Yeah. Here. Oh boy.
He's an incredible artist, by the way. He did this piece of art for me that I have it framed. I have to get it in here.
Isn't that nice? So you can have completely different views, right? Yeah. But you guys still can have a civil conversation. I think that's what we've lost in today's society.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And
Rogan says it all the time too, right? Like a lot of people say that. Like, why can't we just have civil conversations and talk about things without it getting to butting heads?
Well, because I think there's a lot of fear, and I don't know where that came from. I think what's ultimately happened is that people think the stakes are higher. Every election now, they said there's never been an election like this. Never been one more important. Never. We have to do anything. There was an activist group that shut down the LA freeway years back. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
One of the activists went on to Rogan's podcast, and she happened to be a UFC fighter, and he was talking to her about it, and he was grilling into her because he was, obviously he's not a fan of shutting down the LA freeway. He's like, this is bullshit. You're like, you can believe that. I don't think it was Black Lives Matter at the time, but it was something else. It was something
probably environmentalist.
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
And her perspective, which I thought was just such a limited principle, was, look, if you truly believe in something, you need to do everything you can to bring as much attention to the issue as possible. And he's like, by shutting down a freeway? He's like, what about people dying in ambulances that can't get to the hospital? What about, like, if you cause a car wreck and some, kid or adult, I don't know, like...
Pregnant lady on the way to the hospital.
You know what's so funny? We always say, like, what if some kid or baby dies? But what about, like, the 55-year-old overweight accountant? Like, that guy matters.
Sorry, dude.
He matters. Like, he hasn't made a lot of great decisions in life, but, like, he matters as a person is all I'm getting at.
I think because we have sympathy for kids.
Yeah.
It's kind of built in our DNA, We're born to raise generations after us. So, like, when we see a kid, we see someone more fragile, I guess, than an adult. So that's where, but what's even funnier is these movies where it's like Civil War type movie and people are just getting blown up left and right. And then a horse dies. Oh no, the poor horsey. It's like,
oh
dude,
my gosh.
60 people just got blown up by a bomb. You're worried about the horse.
You know what? People do
it's
that.
Funny.
The priorities people have similar to this. Okay. I was at a place, I was drinking a Diet Coke. It was the time I wasn't drinking. I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. And somebody said to me, they're like, well, and this has happened many, many times over. I got a tonic water. I was at a bar, right? Got a tonic water. I'm like, I don't want to drink. I'm here. I'm having a great time with my friends. I just want a tonic.
Yeah.
Right. So I get this tonic, and one of my friend's wives, this woman, Gina, I love Gina. She's like, tonic water is not very good for you. Now, mind you, Gina's trashed.
Yeah, probably drinking some cocktail with syrup in it.
No, but whatever you're drinking, like we're out having a good time. We're at a nice, it was a restaurant that had a very nice bar, and we're all out enjoying libations, and I just happened to get this tonic water. I was like, Gina, if I got a gin and tonic, would you be saying the same thing to me?
True.
It's just because I got a tonic. When's the last time somebody died from tonic poisoning? Never. But people die every day from alcohol. And to your point, it's like you're watching a Civil War reenactment or something. And they're like, what about the horse? It's like the dude just got his head blown off.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, what about the horse? Yeah, right. But again, I think we're really desensitized to that.
Well, we are. Definitely.
San Diego and Southern California have all kinds of problems with poverty and, homeless people and whatnot, but people go to Mexico to build houses.
I know, right? Isn't that funny? Mission trips down to Mexico. Well, yeah, there's reasons for that, right? I mean, the poverty situation in San Diego is... Have you been down to San Diego, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So downtown area, well, it's kind of like a handful of streets where the homeless have just taken over.
Right.
And
full disclosure, I haven't been recently. Last time was for a wedding like 10 years ago.
It's been the same for 10, 15 years. And, you know, it's sad because we see all these programs come out about helping them get off the street, which I'm all for. Like, I think there should be programs to help people get off the streets and stuff. But there has to be a little bit of a qualification process, in my opinion.
How do you mean?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I think anybody can't just come into a food shelter and if they're tweaking out on drugs and get a bag of food, you know, where it's a family, they got a kid or something, that should take priority over someone that's tweaking out on drugs. I don't know. I guess it's a tough subject to get into because everyone's going to have different moral views on that type of thing. But I just think that, I mean, look how bad the LA situation is. And I mean, who was I talking to? I was talking to a buddy of mine. He was driving through downtown LA and he was going through the underpass and he's like, dude, I saw a lot more just like kids our age, like 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds that looked perfectly fine. Like they did that easily. That person could be working at a job, construction job, whatever, flipping bird, whatever the case is. But they can almost get away with by abusing the system through the EBT cards, all the free handouts that there are. I mean, everyone can have a free phone nowadays. And you live
Yeah, that's actually, people don't realize that. You can get a phone for free that has limited usage. But the idea, do you know what the reasoning was behind that?
Obama initiated that program, didn't he?
The Obama phones, yeah. So their idea was,
Obama phones.
Listen, how are you going to get somebody off of the street? They're like, well, they need to make money. Okay, well, how are you going to get them to make money? Well, they need a job. They're like, how are they going to get a call back if they apply somewhere if they don't have a phone? So that was one of the first programs that I heard about that I was like, you kind of got me there.
Yeah.
You know, but
I don't necessarily disagree.
Right. They limited them to like down to something like 200 minutes a month or something. So it was very, and you're not getting like a fancy iPhone. You know, that, not to say that there aren't plenty of homeless people with fancy tech with like iPads and tablets and stuff that they go and charge in like Pete's or Starbucks or something. But this is the problem with, I think, a lot of social policies. You and I, we work hard, we pay taxes, we take risks, right? We're self-employed. You know, you've started several businesses. I've started several businesses.
Yeah.
It's really, these are risky things and we have to do it. And we're gonna stand to benefit and we're gonna stand to be punished.
Of course.
Right.
So are you saying they're not risk takers?
Well, it's very difficult to imagine. Like, I've paid for health insurance out of my pocket for me and my family my entire adult life.
Same.
Right. And it's very hard to know that the medical system, I have a brother-in-law who's in the Berkeley PD. He's like, listen, whenever it rains, whenever it gets cold, the entire emergency system in Berkeley, emergency room, hospital system gets filled with homeless people saying they have chest pain and they know they're going to get a warm bed, a dry spot, and they have to run like all these tests on them. And he's like, odds of them having something astronomically small, right? No, that's not to say
they're playing the system.
Right, exactly. So it's very difficult to imagine me paying, $25,000 a year for medical care and then know that the emergency rooms are filled up with people who want a dry spot.
I guess what I'm getting to, back to when I say there should be a qualification process. Now, here's the hardest part. Who's the judge of that? Right. You could talk all day about social this, social that, and what's right, what's wrong. But at the end of the day, it comes down to who's going to make those decisions and then who's going to govern those decisions being made. I think it's a really tough fine line because, like I said, there's a lot of kids out there, kids being in their 20s, young 30s, that fully able to go out there and figure something out. They choose not to because they live in a climate where you can live there year round. Right. I don't know what bums are doing in Berkeley. Idiots. Go to LA.
I don't know. There's
Boise. Could you believe there's bumps? What are you doing, dude?
I think most of the people panhandling, I don't think most of them are actually homeless.
Where, here?
Yeah. Like if you see somebody like that appears homeless here, I don't think they're actually homeless. I think there are accommodations for people like that. Or like at the very least, like I bet you could find some just real rundown place to live for like $600-700 a month. So all you got to do is make $20-30.
You want to hear a crazy story?
I would love to.
So in San Diego, there's this realtor buddy of mine. He also does property management. He told me that he's like, hey, the bum on what is that? This is in La Mesa, Grossmont Avenue, and I can't remember the other side street, but there's a big Ford dealership on the corner.
And everybody knows the Ford dealership bum.
So he sits there every damn day and panhandles. My realtor, I'm not going to say names, but my realtor friend, he leases a place from one of his other clients. From that bum leases from that guy. And all he does every day is panhandle every day on that same corner.
Right.
I mean, it's not a nice place, but he's got a place. He's not, I mean, he puts on the show. He goes down there.
Probably in like fatigues, says Army
but you're
vet
right, though.
or something. Yeah.
Minimum wage is what?
Oh, minimum wage.
What's in San Diego? I think San Diego
it's like $15 an hour or something.
Okay.
Well, no, federal minimum wage is like $8, but you can't.
How many stoplights are in an hour?
Oh, right.
I mean, if we start doing the math, it kind of gets disgusting.
I actually read a book, The Soul of Money. Okay, and the author was kind of, I don't know, just she really was self-indulgent. So I actually didn't even make it all the way through the book because I was like, I can't with you right now. Because I was like, too busy. I'm like, you're just talking about when you met Mother Teresa and how it's so emotional and like you're going to the, but the point is she goes to she was a wife of somebody who had like this tech company in the early 90s that made it, right? And she wanted to be involved in eradicating world hunger. So she goes to India on a trip and she meets with this guy who's working to eradicate hunger in India. And she was appalled initially because he met her at the airport and then they like walk out and get in this car, go to a destination, go up. And she's like, he was literally walking over people that were like just writhing on the street and like needing all of this stuff. And she couldn't believe it. She's like, this is unbelievable. Like, what is this? I thought you were here to help people. It's like, you don't understand. The more money you give them, the more young kids are kidnapped, disabled, and then used to make money. It's a whole industry. Slumdog Millionaire actually pointed that out.
Same issue in Mexico. I mean, yeah,
right.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. So
that's why those little kids at the border selling you little
chiclets?
5-packs, yeah, all that stuff. Don't give them money.
Right.
They're child laborers for their parents.
Right.
I mean, they're not. It's sad. It's like you want to help the kid out, but you're not doing them a service.
Right. You also have issues with speaking of Mexico and using children, the border crossing. So essentially, kids.
Oh God.
They're. I know it's terrible, but a lot of those kids do not belong to the people that they're actually crossing with, and they get trafficked back. The kids get sent back, come up, and then you get sympathy because you have like a child and you move on. I mean, it's those kinds of things. It's like it's so complex. But to your point, the qualification. Schellenberger, the guy who's running for governor in California. Isn't that his name? I think it's Schellenberger. It doesn't matter. But he is calling out all of the open drug scenes. He's all about revamping the California federal health. He's like, listen, we need to find out where the homeless people came from because tons of them, like California essentially absorbs the nation's homeless.
Oh, they get shipped from all over.
Yeah. They get shipped. All it takes is a bus ticket. They can get to San Diego, and now they're living on the corner.
There's a story in Colorado where Boulder, Colorado, the mayor offered every single bum like $100 cash and a Greyhound ticket straight to California. Right. Anyone who wants to take it.
Right.
Who knows how many they shipped our way? Or
right.
I say our way, not anymore. But
not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Nobody's shipping bums to Boise.
No.
And again, it's not helping. But he's like, look, we need to relocate people that like if you expressly came from some like Kentucky or something and you're a homeless person and you just came here or got shipped here or something, we need to have you go back or get funds from the federal government, which he doesn't want to do because like we don't want to be housing. We don't want to essentially be like the homeless ward for the country, which they have very much become. But he's also very down on your issue of qualification. He's all about that as well. He said, look, we want to help.
At least for these programs.
Right.
It shouldn't just be filling out an application online saying you're struggling with this, and all of a sudden you get something sent to you, right? It should be a little bit more.
You need skin in the game.
Yeah. You need. It sucks because it's almost more resources, but you almost need like an interview type program in a way.
Or caseworker.
Or caseworker.
You know, like they already have caseworkers. They're spending something like $150,000 or $200,000 per homeless person in California to fight homelessness. So think about that. You literally have billions of dollars. And what the problem he was highlighting is that California is actually, there are so many different organizations that deal with this, that California is like fractured and all the different organizations don't talk to each other. So you have homeless people or vagrants that are absorbing benefits from multiple zones
That's
within
exactly
California.
What I'm saying.
Right.
These kids are learning how to play the game and getting away with just existing.
Right.
I mean, they're getting fed.
Right.
They're getting the phone. And any extra little money they make, they probably use on drugs or alcohol.
Right.
You know?
Well, they're not using it on, very rarely would I assume you'd see people using it on online school. Like it's not good.
I mean,
a lot of them had, he actually met with a lot of them too. And, he said that some of them have multiple apartments. They're like, oh yeah, in the summer I come down here to San Diego or in the winter I come down here to San Diego. In the summer I go to San Francisco or Berkeley area or wherever. And they just move all around the state using the free services and whatnot. And they're registered in the individual systems, but they're like 10 systems.
probably got a better credit score than me. I mean,
Probably. I mean, look at you. They probably look better than you too. It's disgusting. Yeah. So we were getting into it yesterday before we got cut off about your start into real estate, right? And we were talking about how you had your first bump, and then we were looking at what bump up as in successes, right? You come out of the blocks that first few year period where you're buying places, the REOs.
we were flipping.
Yeah,
Yeah, with my parents.
Yeah.
They were doing it. I jumped on board and helped them find properties. They kept some, which was the smart thing. They kept some. I did as well with them, without them.
Right.
And we just kept turning capital. And that market kind of disappeared. I think our last like actual flip of like where we were doing bi-monthly or monthly basis was like 2015.
Gotcha.
And I had my license that whole time, California license, but reality started to settle in for me. I'm like, okay, well, I never acted as an agent, right? I mean, I did here and there if a buddy was trying to do a transaction or whatever, but I wasn't acting actually like going out and prospecting clients and et cetera. Right. So that's what I started to do 2015-ish, I would say. And that's how I got into actually just building a network. And I mean, you know how it works.
Yeah.
Building a network of people knowing what you do and trust you. And it's a referral business. That's definitely real estate. You do good for someone, next time that person hears a friend or a family member that wants to do a transaction, you say, hey, I had a really good experience with so-and-so. And that just kind of spread.
If I may ask, what was your means of prospecting? I always love finding out how people get the ball rolling, because I have one friend who was in real estate for like 30 years. And then when he was 50, he's like, retires from his corporate job and just decides, I could just do some real estate on the side, because he had been buying and renting and doing all this stuff forever his career. And he refused to wear the pin, like the realtor pin. He's like, I can't do that. No. And he was also like, I'm not door knocking. That's terrible. And this was, I believe, 2002, 2003. So what he did is he was like, all right, look, I need to differentiate myself. So he spent something like a week or two figuring out how to get envelopes printed that genuinely looked like handwriting.
Yep.
So that was one of his big things.
Very
so
smart.
he bought addresses and everything from the title company, had this system where he would do farm letters, but the farm letters were not like stickers. They were literally, it looked like somebody hand wrote this note. And
you open a piece of mail that's handwritten.
Yeah, right.
Every time.
And you're kind of like, oh, and this was one of his big successes. So again, what was your
interesting? Shtick? Yeah, that's interesting. Well, my dad always did it.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, and so I always, going out of high school, and I had a big sphere of friends, I would say, and born and raised in the same little town of Alpine, in San Diego. I mean, you go to a restaurant, I know, guaranteed any restaurant I walk into, I know 5 to 10 people. It's just every restaurant owner I know, everyone knew our name. Last name was Kniffing. Kniffing Land and Homes was the name of our business. It was me and my dad. And my mom was on and off like through the years of working with us, not working with us. Eventually my brother-in-law and sister joined for a time being. But before all that, it was just me and my dad basically. Mm-hmm. And what was I leading up to?
How you got
marketing. Yeah. So how I started to get my own clients was basically everybody knew that I was into, because social media was around. I had Facebook, I had Instagram. So when we would close or flip a property or sell a deal, I would post a little story and just post something small. And everybody that I went to high school with, or my sphere of friends, they followed me. So like everyone knew I was in real estate. So anytime someone wanted to do something, I guess I just happened to be one of the only agents in our sphere of friends. And so they would contact me. So majority, I would say, due to social media, but also every time that I would close a property or help a buyer, I send a postcard out to that whole neighborhood. or that whole area, surrounding area. Just be like, hey, just so you know, I just did this, accomplished this for this buyer, or hey, I just sold this price for this seller. Just word of mouth. I mean, eventually, like, I think me and my dad, because we both had Kniffing as the last name, we had our signs, you know, I mean, every turn, every major intersection or turn in that city, you would see one of our signs. So it just became like, these were the go-to people to call, you know, but it was just that little town, you know, so it's like, I wasn't doing transactions in Del Mar or La Mesa. I mean, here and there you would, but we dominated a little area. And to this day, we both live here, and he flies back, I fly back, and we still have, I think right now we have like 8 or 9 listings right now down in that little town.
Dude, you're crushing.
We just listed one yesterday.
Look at you.
Well, I mean, it's been a weird market. We're not crushing right now, but my point is we're still active, because people will call us, and they even know that we've moved up here, but I've got a team of people that help me down there. And so whenever I need help, I've got soldiers on the ground. And yeah, I mean, I don't work with buyers anymore, of course. I can't. I live here. So I have an agent. His name's Garen. Great dude. And I've known him since high school. And so he runs around with my buyers now. And I just do a referral fee with him, basically. Yeah, so I would say majority was like social media and just grinding the same zone.
Right.
Like, we just stuck to our lane.
Just
We didn't
grind.
We didn't try to venture out. We weren't those agents that did the annoying ads on the bunch best, you know, bunch.
The benches for the bus.
Yeah, best benches
Bus
for the
benches.
Bus. I can't say that. You know, we didn't have billboards. We didn't do any of that. It was just word of mouth. That's it.
Yeah, it's the reason I asked is because it seems to me that the getting the momentum going is always the thing. It's the worst, right? And once you get it, everybody always acknowledges, like, well, once it's going, you just don't screw up, you grind, you work. But getting that momentum going, it's always the first client or like the second client. You're like, oh my God. And again, you had your dad. I'm not taking anything away from you, but
no.
Building your own name.
No, take it away
difficult.
from me.
Okay. You're
my
a loser.
dad.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 100% my dad is the reason I got that momentum. I had his last name. I went into the same business, and I capitalized on that. Okay.
Right. But social media, right? I got to
of course. I did my own thing. I mean, I ventured to get my own clients. And also I went to a couple watering holes in my little town where I made it well known. I actually made a deal with one of the owners of there. Said, hey, any business I do in here, I'll give you 10%. I did a lot of business out of that bar. Because whenever he heard someone talking about...
They're like, hey, call Kniffing.
He'd be say, hey, you need to call Keller.
He's the genius.
Man.
That's great.
I did a lot of business. Yeah. Actually, one of the listings I have right now is through him.
Dude, that's wild. I would never think to grab like a barkeep as a referral source, but that's a great idea.
If anyone knows me and David, to be that's right up Keller's alley for sure.
Oh my God. Well, your beard says it all. So,
yeah.
You know, it is what it is.
But back to how you said that guy did the handwriting.
Yes.
Genius. So good example. My dad back in 82 when he got into the business, he door knocked. There was no internet. I mean, what do? You door knock. So he door knocked hundreds of homes a day. It's just what he did. And he would pick a few pocket neighborhoods and he would grind out those pockets over and over again. And eventually he started getting business. But one of the first, like, I think he said first 100 doors he knocked on was a lady that said, oh, hey, my husband, we're kind of considering buying a new property. He works at the local Jack in the Box down the street. Can you go talk to him? And my dad's like, dude, Jack in the Box? Are you kidding me? Like, okay. Yeah, I got no leads. Let's go for it. Goes down there. Dude's the owner of every Jack in the Box in San Diego. He didn't work at Jack in the Box.
Okay.
Yeah, his wife left out a little detail. That family has given my dad, he told me the number, and don't quote me, but between $60 to $80 million in real estate. Between grandchildren, cousins, daughters, list goes on, in-laws, etc. Yeah.
So that's another thing. It's not just marketing, right? That's a piece. So we all have our strategies. Like when I got my tutoring business going, I got a hold of the WACAC guide. It was the Western Association of College and Accredited Counselors, WACAC, right?
WACAC. I like that name.
Yeah, WACAC. It was like a phone book.
Sounds
right?
like a candy bar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It would be great with nougat. Anyway, so I go through this, and it's literally like a paper phone book, right? Because it was before everything got put online. And I was fresh out of college, literally like the week I graduated. So I start calling people. I had been tutoring at Cal for several years. And I knew I really liked it. I was planning to go to law school, but I was like, oh, I'll just tutor in the meantime.
Yeah.
And I was like, forget law school. I'll just stay tutoring. But I call him and I was like, hey, I'm Matt. I have a tutoring program. Can I take you out to lunch? I don't have business cards. I don't have flyers. I marginally have a polo shirt, and I'm taking, they're primarily women. I was taking these 45-year-old, 50-year-old women out to lunch as like
cougar hunting.
Yeah. Right. People must have thought that. And just, they're like, so what do you, I'm like, well, here's my resume, this crappy printed out resume that literally has one line, like tutoring at Cal. And, but they some of them took chances on me. And I always picked up the jobs that no one wanted, which is the next thing. Like once you get the ball rolling just a little bit,
yep,
you gotta be like, say your dad rolled into Jack in the Box and there was actually a dude working in Jack in the Box. Well, like, guess what? He probably doesn't want a nice house if he's actually working there, if he doesn't own it. But he may want a house. So it's like you help him no matter what. Like you got to eat crow. 100%. You got to eat crow at the early goings of the business and do things for free. Just add value to the world where you can.
Well, and that's one thing that my dad taught me really early in my career was you treat every single client like they're a $10 million client, no matter what. You never know who the little guy that's trying to buy a $50,000 lot in bumfuck wherever, and he's got $1,000 to put down, and he wants the owner to carry paper for 6 years for the remainder. You never know who that guy knows.
Right.
Because you go out of your way and you turn mountains over for someone like that, they'll remember that the rest of their life.
Right.
And you don't know who they know.
So this family, the DeLukis.
What?
Was it the DeLukis or DeLucas? Yeah, it's Delu something. Anyway, so
These
the Delu
names,
family, yeah, back in California. So they had a son that came to one of my entrance essay seminars. So I was doing an entrance essay seminar at one of the local high schools. The GATE program grabbed me and the boosters grabbed me. They're like, come do the seminar. We hear great things. So I do this seminar, and it's like, at the time, I think it was like $10 a kid. So like 30 kids there. I'm screaming and yelling about these entrance essays. All the kids leave, love it, right? And I make almost no money, but it's like, whatever. I think I was like 26 at the time. So it was about 14, 15 years ago. So I get a letter from, or the Luke whatever son hits me up on an email. He's like, hey, could you help me with this essay? And I was like, yeah, what do you need help with? And he's like, well, I know, there's your job. I just wanted to hire you. I was like, why are you hiring me? What do you need help with? And he's like, okay, well, actually, I have this essay. Could you just read it? So I ended up helping him over email and remotely for free. I don't charge him. I'm like, listen, I'll help you. I'm happy to help. Like, that's why I do this. So I help him. And he writes me this letter saying he got into, I think he was going to Santa Barbara. He got into the honors college. He was really pumped about it. So I find this out and I get him a Santa Barbara hoodie. Right, and send it to him. I find his address and I get it to him. The mom, this was like 15 years ago. They blew me up with business. I made $0 from this kid, and I actually spent money to congratulate him on his success.
That's crazy.
And the mom literally hit me up like 3 months ago for help with someone else. And this was, 15 years ago or something.
Oh, just 3 months ago now.
Yes, just 3 months ago now.
So she's still feeding you.
Yes, because he had a very young brother. I think the guy was like 18 and his brother, must have been like 3 or 4 or something.
I got goosebumps. That's crazy.
Yeah, but you never know. And I wasn't doing it. Here's the thing. I think you have to genuinely care. Because I think when you try to do marketing things where the sole purpose is marketing, people know. They're like, this is lame, man. What are you doing?
And that's never been
tacky, and
that's never been. I mean, I'm all for however anybody wants to get business, go for it. I've never liked that sales gimmicky type of, like, your content's great. I like your content because it's funny. Some of it's funny. Some of it's
funny, some's thought provoking. Yep. Yeah, that's the whole point.
But it's all. But there's always a point to it.
Yeah,
I hate the. What's the word? Like douchebaggy kind of flaunting, building yourself up kind of like, look what I can do, look what I do type of.
The people that look at the camera, they're like, I sold some of the best. You're like, stop.
Oh, dude, it's so cringe. Like some of these people, and like my brother-in-law does a good job at it. His content's good. It's there's family, and then there's his real estate content, and then he brings in like church and God content, and he brings it all together. yeah, I guess what I'm saying, my version. If you follow, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but when
I've seen some of your stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
when I close a deal, I just say, because I post stuff of like my kids,
Yes.
me cooking food, and then I'll be like, oh, just closed 10 acres, sold. And it's a picture of the property. That's it. Like just kind of letting everyone not know in my sphere, hey, I do sell real estate as well. I'm not going to go out of way and make every post about that, but I'm just posting kind of what I do. Same with my tinting. My tinting, I have my own handle.
It has its own,
own handle. I don't want to mix the two.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so
I think it's important for social media not to be complete sales.
Yes. And what's
People don't like that.
No, they don't.
They'll skip over it.
So one of the interesting things about the freedom I have on social media is that I'm not a real estate agent. So like I make all this real estate content, but I'm not trying to sell anyone anything.
No, you're not even.
And people are like, you're just a hacky salesperson. I'm like, I don't have any service to sell you right now. Like I literally made this video because I like the video, right? And by the way, feel free to not watch it, but I'm doing a marketing podcast with C Squared. C Squared Social is this marketing firm that I've done work with, but I know the owners. They're awesome. And I'm doing a podcast with one of the owners about marketing content that they're going to use for their platform.
I will watch that.
One of the really interesting things that I don't think, if you're not in it, you don't know it, you don't think about it regularly. But the idea that we used to live in a world of compelled advertising, and now we live in a world of voluntary advertising. And these two things are completely, for instance, if I may, the Budweiser frog. Okay. This was probably one of like the most, in fact, I know the guy who made the Budweiser frog. He's a client of mine. He ended up becoming the CMO for Google and moved on, like really cool guy, right? But they came up with the Budweiser frog. It was like a throwaway idea. It was this whole like classic story where like they kind of ran out of ideas and then he had this Hail Mary and it totally took off. Okay. But Budweiser frog, everybody understands that. But that's still compelled advertising because you're stuck there watching the Super Bowl and you get excited about the commercials because everybody puts all this effort into the commercials. Yeah. And Budweiser frog came out of that. If you had never heard of the Budweiser frogs and somebody made a TikTok, took all of the time to make the Budweiser frogs, the exact same commercial, you wouldn't get squat. They would flip past that bad boy so fast because to get the point of the Budweiser frog, you have to watch 30 plus seconds and you literally have like 2 seconds now, right? Mm-hmm. So again, that's a classic example of what we think is a good commercial, but it was still compelled marketing, compelled advertising. You were compelled to watch it.
Yeah.
Now, as you're saying, you need voluntary. So people need to voluntarily follow you, find your content. You're showing, you're smoking meats, you're going hunting, you have your kid. Yeah. Oh, by the way, you also sold 10 acres, right? Or you have like a small interview with one of your clients. So that's you presenting value to them.
Yeah.
And they voluntarily accept. And then along the way, you also present something. Now, if you present your 10 acres in this real salesy thing, even if it's only 1 out of 10 posts, people dislike that. So the niche is finding a way to present a soft sell that people want to watch for reasons completely independent of the sale. They have to want to watch the commercial.
Yep.
And that's the world of voluntary advertising now that people are like starting to wrap their heads around.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's really
that's
interesting.
Mind-blowing.
Yes, and people don't. The other problem with social media that no one, I think, is really giving due credit is there's an account. There's a guy right now on TikTok who has these absurd one-liners. Okay, so he does comedy. Right? He does things like, okay, if I'm wearing a sweater, but I get hot and I start sweating, aren't I the sweater? Right? Like the most ridiculous.
So he's got this now, and people know every time that they watch him, they're going to get some ridiculous
thing.
My God.
Okay. Check this out, though. That's IP capture. He's not coming up with jokes. Okay. He didn't invent that joke. All you have to do, they're the other guys who sit on the dock. They have like the big mustaches. They're wearing like, bathrobes and stuff, drinking coffee. They're not coming up with those jokes. You don't have to come up with the jokes. You just deliver the joke, right? So it's IP capture. You're stealing someone else's thought and delivering it yourself. Now, here's the thing. That guy has like 9 million followers, but there are other accounts that are yanking him and doing dual immersion marketing. Okay, so what dual immersion is where you have side-by-side videos.
So you watch and react.
Well, that's okay. Yes, that's one of them.
Okay, because that's a big one.
Yes, that's another. That's a Trojan horse, right? So Trojan horse is where you
you take the content,
and then you insert yourself into
the content.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
a react content.
Yeah. Okay,
which is huge.
Beyond reaction, though. So this is actually dual immersion.
It's big on YouTube right now. React content.
It's all, and you don't have to do anything for reaction, by the way. No. Right, like if you're showing a video, like who is it? Ben Shapiro does this all the time. He plays absurd videos from like the most ridiculous people, and then reacts to them. And that's all you're watching.
It's all over the internet,
right?
For sure.
So
Ben Shapiro's great at it.
He is. So dual immersion is actually where you have two different forms of media that you enjoy both of, but for different reasons. Okay, so one in these particular videos, you have on like the right or the left, it's the guy doing the joke, but on the other side, you have like OCD or ASMR videos where. Like you ever see somebody like stirring the latte or something, or somebody making
ASMR is just noises that are pleasing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So pleasing instead of noise, though, in this case, you're going to have something like somebody making taffy. So you see this like very rhythmic, very smooth, kind of like, oh my gosh, I could watch this all day long. So you have dual immersion because you're getting two forms of content. You're getting one cognitive content where you're actually responding to the thoughts, and then you're getting one aesthetic content where you're like, I could watch that all day. Neither of which are made by the person making this video.
Nope.
So the person making the video just gets a saltwater taffy video and then gets the humorous guy video.
They're stripping the content and making their own content.
That's right. Yep. But none of it was the original content. So one of the problems with the saturation in the content world right now is that the actual original content is so hard to find because you have to scrape like hundreds of accounts to find the actual original guy.
Well, look at what memes are.
But memes are clever.
No, but what I mean with memes is the meme, and then people create their content on the meme.
Yes.
It's kind of like when a new meme comes out, what happens? It blows up, right? When some new meme comes out that all of a sudden is popular, all of a sudden everyone's making their content on that meme.
Right. And again, for those that don't know, the meme is like the picture or something like Kermit the Frog drinking the Lipton iced tea. Yeah. You know, there's that one. Or what was the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah.
Gene Wilder, the one when he's like sitting there. He's
God,
like, tell me more.
There's hundreds and hundreds of memes, right?
And then you're right. People wrap their own narrative around that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the content world is very, very interesting.
Yeah,
I like the React. I watch some of the React content quite a bit on YouTube. There's this streamer. He's known for streaming video games and just YouTube videos, and in general, his name's XQC.
XQC.
Do you know who that is?
No. But oh my God! Listening. Tell me.
Look it up. You will die laughing. I mean, the content. I can't even get into what the content is. It's all over the place, but. YouTube XQC reacts or something, and it's literally X, Q, and letter C. Yeah. The kid's a multi-hundred millionaire, put it this way. I mean,
because
his YouTube channel.
Videos.
It's not just from that, though. I mean, the kid, he was a professional gamer to a YouTuber to a Twitch streamer to a React.
So this guy's putting in the work.
He's just grinding. He's just making content. I mean, you go to I think one of his channels is XQC Reacts. Literally, that's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, they'll post 15 videos in the last day or two of him because he streams on Twitch, watches YouTube videos, and reacts to it. And then he has an editor pull that content, re-upload it into 2-minute clips that go on YouTube, and those just get hundreds of thousands of views a day.
Right. So all he has to do is watch YouTube for, let's say, 5 hours.
You heard a daily dose of internet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my gosh.
Is that somebody who does the same thing, just scrubs?
Well, this guy's a genius, actually. He's been around for... Oh, yeah, you want to get into the deep world of YouTube.
Yeah.
But daily dose of internet. This kid, you've never seen his face. He starts every video with, hey guys, this is your daily dose of internet. That's how he starts it. And all it is clip after clip of random clips all over the internet, piled together into 2-minute videos. And then at the very end of the video goes, thanks, y'all. See you later. Bye. That's every video.
No one has ever seen him.
No one's ever seen him. This kid, I can't even imagine how much money he's made off advertisements off YouTube. He's got hundreds and hundreds of millions of views. Literally, just go on your phone right there and on Google right now.
On the Google?
On the Google.
We're going to the Google.
Just type in daily dose of internet.
Daily dose.
It'll probably auto-populate for you.
Daily dose of internet. It did. Look at you.
How many subscribers?
This guy has 14.3 million subscribers.
Yep.
God bless it. Okay, so I was thinking about this exact thing as I was driving today. I was going to jiu-jitsu, and I was like, God, like the world of scrubbing is just, it's incredible. Like you scrub and you pull and you populate. But I instantly thought about two shows, America's Funniest Home Videos and Cops.
Daily Dose of Internet is literally just taking America's Funniest Home Videos and putting it on YouTube.
Right.
That's,
this is what we've been doing forever. Like the people who produce Cops are not policemen. They just take videos.
It's content.
Right. And now you have body cam footage that's like, people can get. And so there are these like mini versions of Cops and they use the body cam footage for whatever, right? They could say the cop's good. They could say the cop's bad. But, they're all those channels. The content world has become such a complex thing, though, because the idea now is who owns that content. For instance, I put up a video on TikTok.
That's interesting to me.
Right. I put up this video on TikTok. And I got this video from TikTok. So I'm scrolling through TikTok. I see this funny video because there was like 2 weeks where I was like, I'm going to post nothing but funny videos, right? Instead of like thought leaders. I was just mixing it up.
So you have a TikTok too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok, but
it's not bad.
I just follow your Instagram. Is it the same content or a little different?
No, TikTok is real, just give me 3 seconds
slapstick,
of just
like Vine.
Terrible.
You remember Vine?
Yeah,
okay.
It is, and you have a different population there.
100%. Yeah.
So it's a different demographic.
Okay.
You're dealing with more like 15, 16-year-old humor.
I had to get off TikTok. There's too many girls jumping up and down every reel. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's
I like the funny comedy stuff, but it was just constant. Thirst traps, basically, was what I call them.
1,000%. They're looking for dudes who want to see somebody sweeping in a bikini.
Dude,
it's like, stop.
What the heck? I'm not liking those videos. How do they keep sending it my way? I don't get that.
Because they know high odds.
They know how often your eyes are watching.
Right. I mean, they
scrolling, how slowly you scroll past. And,
What's interesting is I actually realized that my TikTok always throws one of those out in the first 2 videos it shows me, and then it stops doing it. So every time I go on, I'm like, I wonder if like they figured out I spend more time on the platform or what, like. Because I'm not going on TikTok for that.
It's that China algorithm shit.
They figured something out. So listen.
They did figure something out.
So I see this video, and it's this girl, okay? It's this
What
little girl
on
TikTok. It's like a 5-year-old girl.
Okay. Yeah.
And she's got this frog in her hand. And she's got this unbelievable Southern accent. She's like, how come frogs don't have buttholes? And
I saw you post
right,
that.
Okay. So it's this video of this girl holding this frog upside down and very innocently asking her grandmother, it turns out, why frogs don't have buttholes. And the engine's like, butthole? Right? Like that's how she's saying it. Yeah. The grandma's like, I'm sure they do. It's just little. And she's like, oh, there it is. And the grandma makes her say, she's like, what is it? She's like, butthole. So it's this 10-second video. This girl's like cute as can be. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So I do a green screen react, right? So I put my little head in the bottom left corner and I'm like laughing hysterically at this. That's it. So I put that on TikTok. It blows up.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. No, it goes like north of 3 million views. Crazy.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so ridiculous. Because again, just like we're talking about, I didn't make this video. I just saw it and put my face on it, and I get all the credit for it.
Did you originally see it on TikTok?
Yeah. So I saw it on TikTok.
Oh, so the original video must have had stupid views, huh?
No.
Really?
This is what happened. I do a screen record and grab it, do my video, I post it.
Interesting.
I find out later the original video got flagged in the first 24 hours and taken down. Oh. And TikTok wouldn't let this person post it again. I find this out because after this video is going crazy, and it's like 90% of people are saying how great it is, and the other 10% are saying that like this girl's abusing animals. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ.
But this woman gets on into the comments. She's like, this needs to be taken down. That's my granddaughter. I'm like, okay, Sparky, like whatever. But she doesn't go away. She keeps commenting like, this is
video.
On my video. And so I'm like, hey, what are the odds that this is? So I go to this woman's thing. I can't find it. She's obviously from the South, blonde hair, fine. And I'm like,
you're telling me grandma has a TikTok account?
Right. So I finally get a hold of this woman and I'm like, okay, look, if this is your video, how come you don't have it posted? She's like, first, it got taken down. Second, I should be able to put up and take down whatever I want for my granddaughter. I was like, All right, I'll tell you what. Post the original video to your account again. The original video, because I had cropped it out. I was like, post the original video. The second I see that, if you do post it, I'll take this one down. Because if it really is your granddaughter and this is upsetting you, I don't want to be a jerk, right? She does. She does. So grandma has a TikTok. Apparently she has a son who's a single dad, and she takes care of her granddaughter frequently. And she was hanging out in the backyard. The granddaughter found a frog and was like poking the butthole. It's like, look at this butt. Anyway, yeah. So
you deleted it?
So I did.
Wow.
I did, because I'm not. I'm not trying to make money from my social.
You got to make sure that she's being truthful.
Yes, because you don't know, right? And it doesn't matter to me. Again, if it were
so funny.
If my job was to be like my daily dose of internet, yeah, then I would think differently of it. But as it is, it's
no, that's totally respectful. Like I give that's crazy though. That is.
What are the odds? 3, but again, no fault of my own. I didn't do anything on this video.
No,
and that's the world of the internet.
No,
so like finding.
Well, probably what happened is What happened is it probably started getting traction.
Yes,
TikTok takes it off. What do people do? They start sharing content. And then the algorithm gets messed up, or people start searching frog, little girl, whatever, and your video pops up because you were one of the few that probably made a React content to it, or if any.
Right. Well, because it was only up for 24 hours before it got taken down, nobody else had a chance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, but I was kind of bummed. I was like, I could have become like the I like turtles guy. Or
I like turtles. Yeah.
Or do you remember the I'm a snake guy?
I'm a snake. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Or like the Star Wars flipping... Oh gosh,
those were the E-Bombs world. Those were the days of the early viral when people didn't know what viral was.
2007 to 2009.
Yes. When people started looking at the internet, they're like, "Oh, we can put more than cat videos here."
Yeah.
And you had before that, you didn't have the platforms to share as aggressively.
Well, that's where that's where Kick-Ass got their, or not Kick-Ass, Jackass got their beginning. What were they called? Oh no, I know the name.
What, the like Knoxville idiots? I don't know. Johnny Knoxville.
Shit. They weren't called Jackass. They were called something completely different. Who's the guy that died? That was Bob. Did the skateboarding with Jackass. He was a professional skateboarder. He was like pretty good.
How did he pass?
I think overdose or something.
Yeah, those guys hit it hard, man.
Yeah. CKY kids. If you go on YouTube, you type in CKY kids. Yeah, don't worry about it now. They were just a bunch of young teenagers, early 20-year-old guys that were posting stuff on YouTube back when YouTube came out.
Right.
And they blew up. I mean, dumb videos, dude. Like cars would pass by and they'd pretend like they're throwing the football across the street. As soon as a car would pass, they'd throw it right at the car. And the car would pull over and the guy'd be like, "What the fuck? You just hit my brand new car." He's like, "It's a 96. And like just start bantering.
And then just arguing.
And they would just do pranks like they do in Jackass. They would do pranks, but out in public. And they posted it on. And eventually MTV picked them up. And then Jackass became Jackass.
That's back when they were doing the air horn at the golf course and stuff.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just like
so they were like the original, or like one of the beginning guys of doing that kind of content.
Like viral content.
Yeah. And there was a lot. I mean, I can think of a lot of early YouTubers that don't even make content today, but they were ahead of the game.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Knoxville, not only did they have the Jackass movies, which were great, but Johnny Knoxville was in Standing Tall with The Rock. Do you remember that movie when it was based off of a true story of this guy who went to armed services, came home, his little small town in like logging town in Montana.
How old is this movie?
This came out 2003, so you were like 10.
Actually was 10.
Yeah, there you go. So it comes out in 2003, but it's all about how it comes home from the service. His little cedar town, they were lumber town. The plant had been shut down. There was a casino in town now, and they were essentially like running meth through this casino and all these problems, right? And so The Rock, of course, like takes it on himself to like clean up this shit.
Yeah.
Johnny Knoxville's in the film. He's his like stupid high school friend who never left. And The Rock becomes the sheriff. He gets voted into being the sheriff because the town doesn't want the drugs and stuff either, like strip clubs and whatnot. Everything came along with the casino. So Knoxville gets deputized, and it's one of the deputies. Yeah, it's pretty
Standing
funny.
Tall.
Walking Tall.
Walking Tall?
Or Walking Tall or Walk Tall, yeah.
Okay. I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it was a wild. That's back when The Rock was trying to become, like, he was feeling out the acting world. He was still a little clunky, but now he is, like, legitimately a very good actor.
He is.
Which I appreciate.
No, he is good.
All right, listen. I keep wanting to talk to you about real estate. We keep getting cut off. All right, let's do that. We're too much. Let's do this. Let's call it. We'll put these two episodes together because we got cut off on the first one. We both got to get to work now.
I'm cracking a bear as we end
it's great. We're going to do a different one on the real estate
Just
market.
Real estate?
Yeah, and you know what? What's going to be interesting.
I have some talking points I want to... I got some talking points I want to go over too with you.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I like your brain a lot when it comes to all that.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I love talking real estate. I actually do. I do weekly articles. I do several articles for
Is it a blog?
So TopHap, TOPHAP.com.
Okay.
The most powerful real estate analytics platform you could find. It's unbelievable. So I do weekly content for them, and I write articles, multiple articles, essentially for their blog every single week. I love talking real estate, man.
Yeah.
So let's do this. We're going to cut it now. We'll do another real estate episode. It's going to be great.
We got into some good stuff.
It's some good stuff. We're going to get into better stuff next time, too.
I'm down.
I can't wait.
All
All right. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Quick shout out to our sponsor, C Squared Social. C Squared Social is the leading expert in social media marketing and creative marketing. They have fantastic platforms. I have been a client of theirs for some time. I cannot recommend them highly enough. C Squared Social for all of your social media and creative marketing needs.
Can you still recall